Hey, folks on the internet. I hope you're all having a wonderful Saturday, and welcome to Spooky Saturday. It's a just chilling installment. Just chilling. It is chilling today for sure. A just chatting installment where I share some spooky stories and conversation with my friends on Twitch. So whether you're here with us live or you're enjoying the VOD on YouTube at a later time or on Twitch, I'm super excited you're here. Today we're hanging out with KeeNaan. And if you haven't already, please be sure to check out KeeNaan's Twitch channel. I'm going to do a shout out because I'm super professional and I know how to do that. Hey, KeeNaan, how's your day?
Hello. It's going all right. Just had a chill morning so far. But yeah, I'm excited. Uh, I like just talking about like um these kinds of stories and stuff, so I'm looking forward to it.
I'm so pumped. Oh my god, hey Jake. Jake's here. Hello, Jake. I I I've been looking for this like all week. So I'm like, KeeNaan and I vibe. This is gonna be phenomenal.
It's
We're
gonna be pretty chill.
gonna have a great time. Yes, Archie, happy weekend. KeeNaan, I know you do the Twitch streaming. Um and I actually really enjoy your stuff. I know you play a lot of different types. You do art stuff on your Twitch and you also do a lot of those little, I don't want to call them crawly games. Where like you're doing this stuff like the little card game. I keep thinking of
Oh
that
yeah.
one game. It's where you were the magic dude and you had the bunnies and the tigers who followed you.
Oh,
I loved
yeah.
those. I loved that. I actually have it on my wish list now because of watching your playthrough. I'm like, I actually need this.
Yeah, I want to jump back into that at some point, although like cuz I haven't finished it, but I took a little break from it because I took a break from a lot of games in general and stuff. But yeah, I want to jump back into that too because I enjoyed it a lot.
I definitely I hear you on that. I had to take a little hiatus myself, for reasons. And sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do for self-care, and sometimes it's just you're gonna take a break from one type of game. I still need to get back into my Power Watch series. But I did like two installments. I was like, I'll get back to this later, and then it was gone.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's that's another thing. So you're getting I know you were talking about getting back into kind of a regular thing. Is that still
Yeah, so it's just I have to figure out the schedule for it because before I had like free time all the time and uh and having a lot of free time is kind of exhausting.
yeah.
But
That's
now
real.
yeah, but now I have more of a schedule. So yeah, like Saturday or maybe Mondays I might be doing stuff. But yeah.
Scheduling is hard. I just try to outside of the Saturday thing. I like outside of work. I kind of just go by the seat of my pants. And we're just like it's an exciting thing. I know there's a way to schedule stuff like on Twitch, but I don't know how, and also that just seems very stressful, so I don't want to.
Yeah.
Just
Yep,
decided to not.
exactly.
Oh man, but yeah, I'm super pumped that you're here. So I know that you've watched Spooky Saturday before, so you know how it works. We just kind of like go back and forth like round robin style, sharing
Yeah.
stories about just things. They could be creepypastas. I know today we were gonna kind of focus on a region, which is exciting.
Yep. It's gotta represent.
I mean, I hear that everything is bigger in Texas. And does that include
Uh-huh.
Bigfoot?
I mean, I think I'd like to imagine that. Um, it'd be quite appropriate if our Bigfoot was in fact the bigger foot.
The bigger foot?
Yeah.
That's That's phenomenal, and I love that you just did that. Yes. Oh man, so let's dive in. I'm excited. Um I do have a few things. I kind of did a little bit of a research this morning because I'm super productive. I wanted there was one I found. It's not Bigfoot, but it's kind of crazy, I think. So I do want to just quickly throw a trigger warning. It's not crazy trigger warning. It's just like there is death involved. So
Yeah, I
if
think
that's
probably a trigger warning on this whole thing because there are many, many different, like, of course, if you're talking about urban legends, there's all sorts of different
yeah,
things that could be triggering or uncomfortable. So yeah.
I'm just putting in thank you Archie for the trigger warning. I'm just throwing in context. So that way people aren't
Mm-hmm.
just like muting and be like, I don't know what I'm muting for. So this one's called the Candy Lady. It's an area specific to Terrell, Texas. I may have said that wrong, but her name was Clara Crane. So back in 1895, she got accused of poisoning her husband. Um, she gave him caramels laced with. Oh, thanks for the sub. Thanks for the sub, Jake. You a real MVP. Um, so she gave her husband some caramels that were laced with poison that killed him, as poison does. Um, because a few years before that, um, her daughter died, and she blamed her husband for her daughter dying. Um, so she got placed into the North Texas Lunatic Asylum, which is now known as the Terrell State Hospital. But that's not the weird thing. The weird thing is that like 8 years later, children would were starting to go missing near her property, like her old property where she was. Um, and the thing was that kids were saying that they would see candy left on their windowsill while they were sleeping. There would be notes on the wrappers around the candy. And the townspeople believed that Clara um, was responsible for the children disappearing. And a nearby farmer found teeth in his fields one day, and unrelated, maybe related, the town sheriff was murdered, killed. He had forks shoved into his eyes, and his pockets were full of candies. So no one really knows what ended up happening to Clara Crane, but it's believed that the Candy Lady still roams around, luring children with candy, pulling out their teeth, and then stabbing them in the eyes with forks.
Now that is not an urban legend I've heard before. So I had a little look, or like I looked it up, and oh dear. Like leaving it on windowsills and stuff. That's like it reminds me of, well, it's like oh, what's it called? Um what was it? There's like a bunch of other stories of similar things where it's kind of like there's calling cards and things.
Hmm.
But I haven't heard that one before. Um, so like at the end of her sentence, did she just get released or
So
something?
that's the thing. Nobody ever like for us the outside perspective, and if anybody in the chat knows how whatever happened to her, feel free to let us know in the comments. But from what I could see, her part of the story outside of the legend ends with her being committed.
Mm.
So nobody ever was like, and then 8 years later, she was like roaming free. Like, it's kind of implied, but no one ever specifically outright says, and then she got free.
Well, yeah, and it's probably because like at the time she didn't seem that. She's probably important to the town. That like any like small town where a murder happens is a really big deal.
Yeah.
Um, and so outside of that though, probably nobody would have ever thought like, okay, let's connect it to this lady until rumors started spreading around that
It's
uh-oh,
like, what?
Candy's like getting left around. That's a bit concerning.
I read it, and the first thought I had wasn't about like, um, wasn't about ghosts or like anything. I had two thoughts. First, candy being left on their windowsills as gifts for children, the Fae. Immediately, I was like, that's Fae nonsense. I want no part.
Maybe
What?
this is the Tooth Fairy.
Oh,
Um, it's like Tooth
oh,
Fairy's cousin, a bit more sinister, where instead of waiting for those teeth to fall out, she's coming by and taking them.
oh my goodness. I didn't even make the Tooth Fairy connection. Oh my
She's like,
god,
I
yes.
want those teeth. And I was thinking like whenever you mentioned the tooth being found, I thought you were gonna say that it was one of those like really eroded teeth from like too much sugar coating and stuff, but that's a bit
It's
weird. I don't know why anyone would want to collect teeth. I think that's a gross thing to collect.
well, there's a lot of reasons. I know, for instance, my mom has all of our teeth that we've ever lost. I come from a very large family, so there are a lot of
Yeah.
teeth in my mom's house. Like, and if you had zero
My
context for
mom,
that, like,
yeah. My mom hates teeth. Like it's close to like a fear. She's so disgusted by teeth, but she still collected ours. Like every like whenever like because growing up, um, we like like we knew the idea of the tooth fairy, but we also knew that like that my parents never didn't try to hide like, oh, we're we're the ones paying you. But
thank you for your
but
teeth,
like
son. Here's $1.
so so yeah, just in a drawer, she would have like one of those like I think it was like an Altoid can with our teeth in there, baby teeth.
Each of us kids have a little, she has a little, like, it's almost like a silky colored box, but it's like
Mhm.
plastic and inside are our teeth. Um,
Yeah, and you'd rattle it around like.
that was one of my favorite things, like, when I was just like, you know, my mom would be like, "Oh, get this," and I'd, like, go in her drawers, like, "Why is there, oh, I found someone's teeth," and she's like, "What color is it?" "Oh, it's so and so's." We never did the tooth fairy growing up. Um,
Yeah.
and my mom never explicitly went into, like, any sort of, like, context or details why we didn't. I remember kids in my school would be like, "Yeah, I lost a tooth in the tooth fairy," and I'm like, "What is the tooth fairy?" And they're like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, it's like you put the tooth under your pillow, and they give you money." And I had 0 context. I'm like, "That's weird. Why don't you just
What
give
a
it to your parents? That's
weirdo.
weird. Just give it to your parents." Like, because they keep it for reasons. One of the reasons she told me was, that if they
Make
ever needed
dentures
to, like, find if
drool.
I went missing or something,
Oh.
that they could use the teeth to help find me. And as a kid, I'm like, "Okay, that's, I don't know how, but, like, sure, you're an adult,
Soothsaying.
you know." But, I guess now that I
Yeah.
like, adult context, they can pull DNA
Yeah.
from teeth.
You know soothsaying? It's that with
Yes.
teeth.
That
So
with
it's
teeth.
toothsaying.
You're just gonna throw lot with teeth, like, "Let's find out where they
Yeah.
are," throws lot. Well,
Yeah.
that molar over here.
Over there. Yeah. The crown points this way, and the fact that it got dirtied
This
means that blah blah blah.
no, for sure. And the other thing I was thinking about that immediately came to mind was, do you remember, I know you're a younger fellow, so maybe you don't, but there was like a huge thing where like growing up going trick or treating, your parents were like, "I have to check your candy because
Yes.
there could be
Okay.
razor blades in
Yeah.
it." And I'm like, "Why would
Well,
you?"
yeah. Like, actually, though, people there are the reason why that was such a big deal is because those things actually happened. Um, like in like candied apples, razor blades. So like you bite into it and get your mouth all cut up and stuff. It is scary.
That is scary,
Um,
and I don't want to. That's awful.
yeah. And so I never went trick or treating. Instead, my parents would just watch a movie and hand out. So we were we would hand out candy and stuff, but we didn't go trick or treating. But like, I mean, we would hear this occasional stories of like sometimes it was an accident of like homemade candies having things in it. Other times it was like if there's something unwrapped, be careful, you know?
Yeah.
Just like yeah. Yeah, it's an urban legend for sure, Archie, but like it's always one of those things like as a parent, I'm probably going to be just as worried
No,
because
for
like
sure.
it's just like it's different whenever you have kids and you're like and things like I'm sure like to me it never seemed that big of a deal, but
Jake in the comments says weed lace candy treats
oh
are way more
yeah,
common. First
or
off,
like
why would you
brownies
that the whole
and
like there are
things.
drugs in the candy in this economy? No, thank you. Those are
Well,
mine.
well, the thing is like it seems crazy to do anything like anyone would do anything like that,
Yeah,
but those people are another breed. And they're just rare enough though that like it probably won't happen, but the fact that there's somebody doing it means it could happen. And you just never know who.
that's terrifying, and I don't like that. I don't like that, but it is it is a fact that some people are just not fun. Just not
Uh,
fun.
I'm gonna be like, whenever I have kids, I'm gonna be like, you see that house down there? Those people are not fun. So
They're not fun. Don't do it.
see my explanation.
No context, just no nuance, just like, yeah, they're not fun. Don't do it. There is definitely darkness in the world, Jake. But there's more light than darkness, yes, and we can all contribute by trying to be just nice people in general. Be fun.
Yeah.
Positive
And I think
PSA.
a lot of things are changing and stuff about safety and just general like how we view other people. And so it's really nice. People are being more considerate about other people um, in a lot of ways, and hopefully that keeps expanding and translating to other things.
Absolutely. I mean, it's definitely it's you don't have to do anything to be kind. Oh, it costs nothing to be kind. See, we're on the same
Yeah.
page. Um, yeah, I mean, I
And
was
even if
always
it like sometimes it might cost just a little more energy than you feel you have or whatever, but like the payoff's worth it.
yeah, and you never know. You don't know someone else's journey, so you don't know if your kindness could literally say honestly, it like could save their lives. It could make the change in their day. Like things could be awful for them, but because you were kind, their day turned around.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the candy lady. Hide your teeth.
Yeah. Don't let yeah. Like I think a little bit less of a sad story is this one's not so spooky, but I think it's worth mentioning is Old Rip. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
No.
Um so you, I mean you probably know the story of Rip Van Winkle. I mean that one's really like well known. It's a kid's story now. Even
Yeah.
though it's not it's kind of sad thinking about it if when you hear the original story. Cause like I mean he sleeps for what was it 100 years
Yeah, he
and then
falls
wakes
asleep.
up and everything's changed because I think in the context it was like colonial America or something, and there were all these new technologies, and the war was over, and people were accusing him of like being like a British
Loyalist. Yeah.
yeah, because like to him that was just how it had been and everything had changed. So not like it wasn't an unhappy ending of a story,
That's
but
honestly
like
like the whole Rip Van Winkle thing. I I personally relate to that, like when you intend to take a 20-minute nap and then you wake up 6 hours later and you're like, what year is it?
yeah,
What year?
yeah. But old Rip is so he's like a horned toad, or it's the nickname of a horned toad, that was
Okay.
given because around the same time as the Candy Lady stuff. But there was a small town um called um Eastland, and it was really it was like it was still a small area, just like a few, probably like a couple hundred people living there. But it there was a uh like there are theories going around that horned toads could live to be 100 years for hibernate or like in hibernation. And there's a guy who just was like, okay, yeah, let's try this out. And he took his pet, um, named Blinky, and like buried it in like
Oh my
in the
god.
under in the there was a courthouse they were constructing, and he buried it under one of the cornerstones of it as it was being constructed. And um basically he was like, okay, um I'm probably not gonna survive long enough because this man was old. He's like,
He
we'll
buried
see if
his
eventually
pet?
we check it out. Yeah, I'm assuming it was like a pet for study more than anything. He was like a
Okay.
cleric, and horned lizards are really common in Texas. Um, I like you can find them in your yard and stuff. They're fun. But 30 years later, he remembered. He was like, "Oh yeah, that's like I think he had told a bunch of people about it, but nobody remembered except for him." And he's like, "Yeah, let's get this going." He told the newspaper and was like, "Okay, we're gonna unearth this box and see how our little friend's doing." And so they had everybody gather around as they opened it up, and when they did, Blinky was uh was still alive somehow. People aren't really sure, but somehow in hibernation it survived for 30 years. And so they all named it Old Rip as a nickname because that was a 30-year sleep. And unfortunately it didn't live for very long. It lasted another year, but it somehow managed to like stay all that time with nothing to eat or drink. And so yeah. It's just a fun little story. They put it in a after it died, they decided, okay, let's honor him, and uh basically stuffed him and put him on display in a museum. And I think I'm trying to remember the museum. Let me see. Um, it's where is it? I think it might still be in Eastland as a museum, but you can go see him on display. He's been there for over 90 years. And then like uh, there's been uh presidents that have come seen him and stuff. Like it's like not there's no reason why it should be this big of a deal. But for some reason, a lot of people just loved him and the idea of him. It's just a fun little story.
That is for the whole research thing, that makes me feel better. That puts me at ease 'cause I'm like, "What?"
Yeah,
But that is
yeah,
it sounds
and it's
like
so funny.
Old Rip still kicking it, like, in some shape or form, fashion. not
Yeah.
talk today.
So, and there were like other people that were skeptical, so they did their own things and like they would seal their own horned toads in boxes, but none of them could live past like 6 months. So it really is interesting that he lived that long. Um, and other people are like, "Oh, what's this big deal about it?" And everybody would just accuse them of being jealous of Texas. They're like, "Oh, you just wish your horned lizards
Could
were
live
as
this
good where
long.
you lived." Yeah, in Alabama, you think you're
They breed them better in
it's
Texas.
it's just a funny thing. But yeah,
That's I like
all
that.
Blinky. Yep.
It's it's so weird. They buried him under a cornerstone because I think that's actually that's a thing that, and I can't remember, but there's like one culture like way way back that was like how they would bless a new construction, like a new building or church, is that
Really?
um they would unalive someone and then just like put them in the cornerstone
I
as they're
think that's
building the house.
actually I think that might be it. Like, there's a few cultures like that. Cause like in some, like you see old, there's like cathedrals and things where they have their saints buried, with their, and the idea is that, with the second coming of Christ, they'll come up and rise out of the cathedral and things like that. And then in other cultures, like, there's been accounts of in East Asian cultures of doing similar things. I don't know the specifics, but yeah, I think that's
Yeah,
really
like I
interesting.
don't know enough to actually speak on it, but I remember that that was a thing because they found because they would mark the outside of the of where they put them in the walls or like in the outside, like you could see a mark
Mhm.
on it where they were, and it's just super interesting. It's like one of those things like when you're going down like a Wikipedia hole like late at night. You're like, I don't know what's happening. I'm clicking links and here I
Yeah,
am 6 hours later and like I know a bunch of unrelated facts.
yeah.
I don't know. I like that though. That was a much better. Whew, that makes me feel much better after the teeth thing.
Yeah. And now back to creepy stuff.
And now back to creepy stuff.
Yeah, Archie, I'm the same way with YouTube. I'm like, oh, what's this? And then I'll just click a bunch of different things, and I'm like, where am I? Where is this part of YouTube? What is this?
It definitely no, that's a real thing though. I used to I used to just let YouTube autoplay while I was studying in college, and every once in a while, like it would, like I would suddenly hear something like, "Wait, what?" And like I'm like doing algebra stuff, doing pre-cal stuff, and all of a sudden I hear someone saying, "That's a mermaid skeleton." I'm like, "What?" like,
Oh,
like
what? The missing link?
the missing link. Tell me everything. I need to know. Um,
Oh yeah. I don't I love those like shops and stuff where they're like probably everything in there is fake, but it's all that like, oh, we found the missing link. There's been like our
look at our
growing up.
example of a jackalope.
Well, growing up, there's been a bunch of those around Texas, and so like when I go visit some family in like the Northwest or something, there's lots of those, especially in the West. Um, but there's like some evolution, or there's other really cool stuff like uh there's evolutionary like museums and stuff where you have bones of supposed missing links or and well, I say missing links because technically those bones are supposed to say they've been found, but I don't know if I believe that.
No, I've actually seen what you're talking about, like where there's so many
Yeah.
different claims of like we found an example, but they're like
No.
wildly different. So you're like, Do we have a whole
Yeah.
chain that's gone? Like, what happened
Yeah.
here?
Yeah. But I enjoy them. I don't really believe most of that stuff, but they're fun to go visit. Um, or like other museums where it's just like dinosaur bones next to it or fossils. And it's just like a fun experience. There's there's one museum in particular where the point of it is it feels like one of those like little roadside bone attractions. Um and instead it's supposed to be like a creationist
Oh,
museum. Um where it's like talking about where their stuff is like they have a lot of different like prehistoric skeletons of you have like what's it called? Megalodon, like small bones and stuff like that. Or teeth and a bunch of things. And then they have skeletons of like giants basically is what they're supposed to be. So like or like human skeletons that are supposed to be like 7 feet to 9 feet tall and things like that. And I've been, it's really cool. Don't know if they're legit or anything, but it's fun, you know? It's like fun,
I
those
will
kinds
say
of roadside
this on the
attractions.
giant thing. Um, there's enough like widespread across multiple cultures folklore about giants. In my mind, I for sure I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. That tracks. Like I know
Mhm.
specifically like Eastern Algonquin and like Western Micmac,
Yeah.
different confederacies up north. Like they have like the different along the Eastern Band.
Mm.
The Abenaki specifically actually have stories of the people of the Dawn fending off giants from taking everything over.
Yeah.
It really
Giants
is.
are like there's so many stories of them being on the like enemy side. I mean, not many gentle giant stories.
Well, I mean, there's BFG.
Well, yeah, but like I don't know if that's based off of folklore or
That's
anything.
true. Roald Dahl
It's
knew
a nice story.
something.
I like gentle giants, but I don't think there's much folklore that supports that.
That's true.
Um,
I
but
mean,
yeah. Oh,
yeah,
I'm not saying to make any assumptions. I'm just
we're
saying.
not anti-giant here.
So, yeah. I'm just saying that stories typically put them at the
As
enemy thing.
antagonists,
Yeah,
for sure.
antagonist.
No, I hear
Um,
you on that.
yeah.
But yeah, it's just
Well, so like that's super widespread. And another interesting one is like there's a flood story in almost every culture of like some massive flood.
yeah, I mean, you see it
I
through
think
Epic
that's
of
really cool.
Gilgamesh.
Yeah.
It's in a lot of different um not so much creation mythos,
Yeah.
but you see it like in different cultures and they kind of like if you do the math, which I'm terrible at, but like somebody did a thing where they tried to chart around like guesstimated around the time in each culture this would have happened. It would have been around the same like 2,500 years, like around and like
Pretty
for the
cool.
most part, which is a pretty widespread thing consider
Yeah.
like time frame considering how long people have been a thing. But
Mhm.
it was definitely
Yeah.
interesting. I like flowcharts, so there's that. I was like, yes, data. I can do this.
Mhm.
But no, you're right. It's definitely there's a lot of things that cross culture like that. It is
I
super
think it's
interesting.
fun.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Exactly, it's fun. And if they've got a pie chart on there, whoo, you know I'm there. I'm there for sure.
Yeah, if all ancient cultural stories have pie charts.
If they could just be accompanied by, visual aids and like well-cited sources, like I'm there for it.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's how you get me. That's how they'll get me. You heard it here
Yeah.
first.
Yeah, I love like those stories that have like there's scientific significance behind them and stuff. But like there's also I also really like those unexplained stories. Um,
Oh, like the what is it? It's like the Ripley's Believe It or Not whole thing. Like some stuff just doesn't have an answer, but some of it they were able to be like, yeah,
yeah, they might assume certain things, but they don't have the answer for it. They're like, we don't know what's causing it, although we might have guesses. I like that stuff. That's super fun.
yes,
Um, so for example, there's one in the north part of Texas. There are these I are like there's the Marfa lights. So, um, I don't know how well known those are outside
well
the
now I have
state,
to know.
but basically it's like I've I've been there and there's just this town called Marfa where it's like a normal place. There's nothing crazy about it during the day. But at night, especially during the summer, um, there are points of light, or there's like all these different specks of light that you can see on basically ground level at a distance. So, um, it's just like a lot of people mistake them for stars or UFOs, but like when you just take a little bit of time to sit there. You can look out across. It's across like um the kind of it's like a barren plain area, so very like
Flatland.
Midwest. Or yeah, it's flatlands, and you can see out, and there's just lights that you don't really know what they're from. People say like, oh, they're just car lights, or oh, they're lights from a distance, maybe like street lamp, or like
Yeah,
But what they found is that regardless of what it is, it's not it's most likely not those things. They think they have a bunch of different theories for it. Some people do think it's highways from far away that you're just barely getting light specks of light. But other people think it's atmospheric like phenomena where like it's something to do with either like different temperatures of air somehow producing some sort of effect, or magnetism, or like a bunch of different things, but they haven't been able to find out anything about what it is. um and it's not the only like types of thing. Like there's stories all around the world of a very similar phenomena where it's like these mirages of light that they don't know what they are. um and it's just one of those like I don't think we'll ever know, but like if there is,
that
there's
is
got to be
super
something scientific behind it, but we
for
still have
sure.
no idea what.
I mean, light travels much faster than sound, or like
Right.
so the fact that it's
So
just a quiet light and it's like persistent, huh? Huh? And that
yeah,
people think it's UFOs, but it's
so
on ground level.
it spawned a lot of UFO stories, for sure, as you could probably imagine, because these lights are like, I've been able to see them before, and I don't know, like I don't know how to describe it. It's like it's just weird because there's nothing like creepy about it, I don't think.
Like nothing
But
innately creepy. It's just like
no, you might get like creepy vibes from it depending on how you view them. But it's just a really strange feeling of like seeing it out there, cuz sometimes it looks like there's a backdrop of like hills behind it depending on where you look. Um and so you're like, okay, then something must be producing light there. But it's more of a mirage than anything else. That happens in certain areas. So there's stories of people driving along the roads, and having lights appear behind them or before them, and it seems like the lights are keeping up with them no matter the speed they go, or if they're trying to go towards a light, they never can reach it. It always stays at a set distance ahead. And So it doesn't seem like the lights are being produced at certain spots, but it's more of a perspective thing than anything. But we don't know what causes it.
Hmm. That is super fascinating. I've never heard of that, and now I need to know everything. I'm gonna research this. But
I think there's points around America that there's different areas. And then there's even stuff like um, they have in there are a lot of people say it's the will o' the wisp. That's what caused the story of the will o' the wisps. Like, so, um,
well, I mean, in
yeah,
America probably, but that's crazy. Or no, you're
yeah,
saying this phenomenon elsewhere.
is what caused the original folklore for that is what a lot of people think. So like in Europe, in the northern parts and stuff, people think, or so apparently there's this phenomena there as well, or but the interesting thing about it is that from what they can tell, it's around the same altitude, um, no matter where it is in the world, for the areas that get these lights. So it's probably linked to the atmosphere somehow and the like elevation, but beyond that, we don't know.
I wonder, are there like any bogs or swamps?
So Marfa's really dry.
Oh, then
Um,
not. Then the answer
but
is no.
but there might be there. I don't know specifically the different locations. Well, actually, so there is some lights. So I'm looking up like similar instances, and in India there's these marshy wetlands that have similar things that are next to a desert. Um, or there's some that appear above the ocean in a um around Italy, and like it's just like, or in Norway there's some just in a valley. There doesn't seem to be much about the location except that it's not far above the sea level.
Hmm. That's I have never heard of this specific thing. So that's
Yeah,
I want to
it's
know
just
what
a
it
cool.
is.
It's one of those cool mysteries. It's classified as like a paranormal thing, but we don't know what the paranormal thing is. Some people, so of course, without people knowing what the Marfa lights are, there's so many stories that come from it. Aliens, ghosts, just like these like or like ghostly figures, especially on roads of like ghostly vehicles falling behind. Or
Oh
some
yeah,
people
because the
think of it
lights.
as yeah, some people think of it as like the devil himself chasing you, or like it's like the feeling of death falling behind. Like you get all these wacky different
Just like a
views on
wide spectrum of
it.
everything.
Yeah, it's as much as people can imagine it being different. Like it's whatever they can think of for the explanation. There's that many like different beliefs on what they are.
So it's like I was about to say it's like Rule 34, but with paranormal stuff.
Oh my
But not
goodness.
hold on. Don't if you don't know, don't look it up. You're fine. You're safe.
Please
Be safe.
don't.
Be safe.
Yeah.
I that's I'm gonna research this. The
It's
brain interprets things
fascinating.
all types of ways. You're absolutely right. And
Yeah, and the only reason why it's so well known in Marfa, or like it being Marfa, is because they've made an observation area, and there's just been so many more stories circulating there, and it's pretty common. I went there once while visiting Fort Davis, which is nearby Marfa. Um, we visited there for like a couple weeks or so, and um, it was really interesting. I was pretty young, so I think I was like 10 or something. So it didn't mean much to me then, but it was like what interested me most is that there was no explanation for it and that it still happens.
it still happens to the point that they have an
Yeah.
observation space
Uh-huh.
dedicated to it. Like, they
Mhm.
built a thing
Yeah.
to watch it, and they still don't have an answer. That's wild.
Yeah.
That's
And
wild.
of course, there's probably many instances of it's the brain, like of people seeing Marfa lights. This could have been for me as well, where we think we're looking for something, and so we see it, even if it's not there.
Yeah.
Light plays tricks on people's eyes, but it seems consistent enough that there's definitely, like, it's definitely something to consider and not just wave away as
It's like an
us
instance
fooling.
of like
Yeah.
inferred placebo for
Yes.
sure. Also, I mean, with the whole part of like the different theories, that's absolutely going to be based on like that person's like worldview. So if
Mhm.
I am a person who believes in ghosts, like ghosts specifically, I'm like ghosts.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
you're
see it. I'm gonna
totally gonna
see.
think
I'm
that's
gonna
a
see it. I'm
ghost.
gonna see. I'm gonna see a ghost right now. Like I go out
Yeah.
and see those lights. I'm like, and that right there, orbs, but like big, big orbs that far
Mhm.
out. Or like,
Ghost orbs.
do you remember? I don't know if every kid had this. I remember this as a kid. Just remind because you said the thing about the cars.
Mhm.
I can remember in car rides at night, I would have this thought that someone was running alongside the car. Like,
Oh
but not
my
running,
goodness.
but like on all fours running
Okay.
beside the
So
car. And I thought that it was like just a weird, like, that must have been me thinking that. And I talked to my sister
so
like 2 years ago about it randomly. I was like, I had this thought as a kid, and she was like, dude, I always thought that. So now I'm like convinced, but
that's
maybe I'm
so
crazy. I don't know.
interesting. So, I've heard so many, like, or the older I get, the more I realize, like, literally almost everything I've experienced is, like, really normal. Like, I always think like, "Oh, man, I was so weird," and then I'm like, "Okay, actually, things like that are really common," or, like, certain things we think and do, and then we're like, "Oops, I shouldn't have done that," or, like, compulsive things as well. But, like, um that one is not one that I experienced, although I hear a lot of people talking about a man running by or a creature on all fours running by and keeping up with the car. For me, it was different. I had something similar, where it was an invisible ball that would bounce between the car and objects on the side of the road, and it would go back and forth.
Oh, like a little like pong.
Yeah, it was pong between whatever was going by as we were driving, or the moon keeping up, it being the same size the whole time. Like cuz I think everyone experiences that weird, like, it's not growing or bigging whenever or getting bigger.
I mean,
Like,
that's honestly like a good thing
it's just
though.
like as you're if it was, that'd be concerning.
That'd be
No,
terrifying.
no, but, like, it's just, like, one of those, like, as you're a kid and you're learning how things work, and then when things don't, or some things don't seem to fit in the rules, you have those weird moments of realization, such as, like, the moon coming out in the daytime, or, and so a lot of people experience those similar things. I don't know why, in particular, the man running beside the car is so widespread, but a lot of people just say it's something they would imagine to pass the time, or they would feel like there was something there, even though they knew it wasn't. But that one's, like, for like, really, really strangely common. Um, so yeah.
I just cuz I my curiosity. Um
Yeah, it's a good question because a lot of people do experience that.
I
I
just
myself haven't, but I think, it's really normal too.
I just did a search, and all I got out was the man running, and that's one of the top 2 was beside the car,
Yeah,
if we wanted to
it
know how widespread it is. Uh
it's so strange.
yeah.
I don't know what causes. that feeling, whether it's just like a normal thing that's maybe like an thing that's within everybody that, but like that's a weird thing to be, you know.
It's definitely I definitely at some point want to kind of like go into that in depth. But for now, I'm just gonna put a pin in it and say it was Sonic, and we can move on.
Sonic.
It was Sonic.
Everyone, if everyone has that childhood memory of Sonic
Yeah,
running
like,
beside
you
you.
know, that
Yeah.
time that Sonic was following you home to make sure you got there safe. What a pal.
Yeah. Or that, or for somebody else, it's Sonic running long behind, and the only thing keeping him from getting you is that car door window.
Sonic will not take me today. I just remembered the Sonic that you drew when we
Oh
were doing
yeah,
that.
yeah, the one running. He's gonna beat you up.
It was point of view. It was point of view if you turned
Oh
around.
my gosh, I love drawing cursed Sonics. Those are so
Cursed
fun.
Sonic is life. Wait, oh,
Ah,
there's a Sonic emote in chat.
oh, look at that.
What is
What?
whose
Who
emote is
is
this?
that? Cat
Oh, it's
stripe.
cats. That's cat. I thought it was I thought it was a drawing,
Oh, there are
but then
so
I
many good
hovered
cursed
over it.
emotes for cat.
Yeah, cat has amazing emotes for sure.
That's so good.
Oh, one day I'm gonna get around here. Uh, so the car thing, I've got one that's kind of related to cars and Texas.
Mhm.
So this is the Lady of White Rock Lake.
Oh, uh-huh.
So this is one of the Dallas area's most well-known legends.
Mhm.
According to the legend, a young woman wearing a sopping wet dress, like 1930s dress kind of deal, haunts the lake and flags down drivers to see if they can bring her home. And when the drivers do give her a ride, she suddenly disappears and leaves the seat wet.
Mhm.
Which this was leather, ma'am, but no. Uh, disrespectful. No. But apparently so there's a specific account I'm looking at from
Mhm.
1943. Um Anne Clark uh gave this example to the Texas Folklore Society, which I recently learned is a thing, which is kind of cool. Um,
I I've never heard of that. Time to look it
yeah,
up.
do it. Check it out. But in the account, a young couple was parked on the shore of White Rock Lake, and they saw a woman coming towards them. She was dressed in a sheer white wet dress, and just climbed into the couple's car and gave them an address in an Oak Cliff neighborhood. And when they turned around to ask for directions, the seat was empty and it was wet. So the couple decides, hey, let's go to that address. So they go to the address and they knock on the door. And a man answers the door and he said that they were the third couple to show up with that story, and his daughter had drowned there 3 weeks prior while sailing on the lake. And
Spooky.
that is spooky. But like, could you
So,
imagine being the dad and just feel like,
yeah, like, are they? Because I would think in like his shoes, I would be like, guys, this is a really fresh wound, and you guys are playing a cruel trick. You know, like after hearing the first two or something.
yeah, like the first, yeah,
Because like I'm sure like like and unless he was already like believing in stuff like that, that would be an assumption.
devastating. That would be
You know, it'd be
devastating.
terrible, you know? And then hearing it over and over, be like, hold on, I don't think something must be going on, you know? That's so
Yeah, I think after like the third, fourth one, if I wasn't a believer, I'd be like, this is actually really kind of comforting. But like she's still trying to go home.
Yeah. And I don't know why, but there's so many stories of women and lakes like being ghosts. I don't know why there's so many, but there's like, so we were talking before we started the stream about La Llorona,
Yeah,
which is the wailing woman. Um and there's like different or and there's definitely accounts of that in Texas as well, being so close. People say that La Llorona uh sail or like she like went with the current and then went through the river the Rio Grande up into Texas. But like um there's many different stories um about where what what killed her basically. So some stories say, oh, this might be a trigger warning as well. Trigger warning. This is some spooky um stuff relating with child death or suicide or things like that. So just be careful if that's really triggering for you. Um but the one of the stories is that um there was a woman who was a she was a widow with two children. Um and other stories she wasn't a widow, but she had two children. And then would basically um was attempting to court a young man, and the man didn't want to marry a woman who already had children. Um, Other than that, they got along really well, and it seems like like she thought, okay, then if I didn't have my children, maybe he would marry me. So she threw her children in the river, and in some stories she did more than that, but I won't go into detail. And then went to the man, and some she had a blood-soaked dress and would say, "Look what I've done so that we could be together. This is the like the lengths I'm willing to go for us to be a thing." And if, as you can imagine, he wasn't he didn't respond with like, "Wow, I can't believe you do that for me." Instead,
those are some red flags.
yeah,
Those are like
instead,
huge.
yeah, uh-huh. So instead he reacted how anyone would, horrified, and basically just bolted. Like, I wouldn't stick around a lady like that, for sure.
Mm-mm.
I
Your
wouldn't stick
number, who
around
dis?
anyone like that. And um and so in her grief, she threw herself into the same river with her kids. So, um, that's one of the stories, and in other stories, it's like different, where it's like she was attacked by a mob when they found out what happened to her kids. Another one, so it's just a lady grieving for her kids who had an accident. And
Yeah, the one I heard was that she was she was married, like well off, and she discovered her husband was cheating on her. So
mm-hmm.
her revenge was to drown her children, which
Is not
drown the
thinking
man,
clear.
baby. Just drown the
Yeah, you're
man.
not thinking clearly.
Like kids didn't do
um,
anything, but like
I think it might have. Well, yeah, I think it might have been like it. There's so many different stories, but
yeah.
yeah. And so whatever the story that people believe, the consistent thing is that there's this woman. Um, a lot of times she appears in white. Other times it's red because uh, to signify adulteress, whatever. But whichever story, it's a woman that you hear wailing on a night near a river, pond, or a lake. And uh, if you remain out there, you'll see um, the like. wailing woman or
The
the
weeping woman.
woman, the weeping woman, and with a soaking wet dress. And sometimes it's just a story where it's like of a sad ghost, like lamenting the things she did, or lamenting not being there for her children. And in other stories, she's vengeful and she'll attack people nearby. So um, there's accounts of people going out, kind of like Bloody Mary style, and basically calling her name, and her and leaving handprints on the car, like hood, or they'll feel jolting of the car as they like run out of there, or a lot of them are on the road because they're trying to escape.
Yeah.
Or like seeing her in the path, as they try to leave because of other things, paranormal things. Some people stick around to see if they can spot her. Other people, um, they'll hear the sounds of her weeping, and then just that's enough. They're out, you know. Um, but it's one of those stories that, whether it's by word of mouth or um, it's or just like all the different accounts in different areas, it's a really well known story. Um, and most of the time, it involves a lot of people, like just teenagers just fooling around and going out to sea. But there's a lot of different stories from older people or kids, or kind of like the middle. Um, and they're pretty consistent.
No, for sure. My understanding of La Llorona, I'm saying that wrong, I'm not accenting
It's
properly, I'm so
okay.
like, was that, the story was told to children to get them to get some act right in their life. Um,
Uh-huh.
like, hey, don't play near the water because she'll get you.
Yeah.
And it very much resonated with that whole idea. Um, this is a Mexican thing, but El
Yeah.
Cucuy, where it's like the boogeyman who, if you're a bad kid,
Yeah.
he'll take you,
Take you in the night.
take you. Um,
Mm.
associated with the cold and stuff, like like what the room in your house where he's gonna get you is the cold room. But
Mm.
um, yeah, and then also, so she's described specifically in a lot of these stories as being in white clothes, in a white dress.
Mhm.
And then I think of that, and the first thing I think of is that that's a common type of like spirit sight. Like when people say, "I saw a woman in white," um, like it's a specific type of like ghost story, and it's all over the place. There's, it fits different regional local folklore where people put a
Yeah.
name to it, but it's typically like situations where it was an accident, somebody died dramatically
Yeah.
because of a betrayal or some sort of something led to it, and because of that the spirit can't move on, so the woman in white wanders around. But I mean, it varies a little bit, but you see it in different like media takes advantage of these folk stories that are kind of, again, across cultures, like all over the
Mhm.
world. There are, I feel like, you could throw a dart at a map of the world, and if you hit someplace on that map, if you happen to be good at darts, um
Mhm.
you're gonna find some type of woman in white like story. um
Yeah.
did you ever see that
Um,
YouTube video, or I don't know how long ago this was, but I remember watching it and being like, that's weird. It was one of those like, oh man, like when cell phone cameras were like pretty new, of a woman in white on the side of like this weird highway crying, and they put her in the car, and then she jumps out at you, and like her face gets all like super messed up, and they crash the
Like one
car.
of those it's like one of the was it one of those, like, jump scare
I don't know. It might have been a jump scare, to be honest with you. Like, I remember watching it and I like almost peed. I was like, ah, that's scary. But
So
you want a banshee? Because that's how you get a banshee.
so there's, a similar story to the woman in white, um, where I don't I don't know why there's so many stories of, like, lady ghosts. But, there's near San Antonio, um, there's a this lady they call the donkey lady
I
who
read about this. I'm so glad you bring this
yeah.
up.
So there's the I think it's called they call it the it's like a bridge area called the Donkey Lady Bridge. Just by name, it's not officially the name of it, of course. But
On the town charter as Donkey Lady Bridge.
they say they say there roams a figure, a humanoid figure that resembles a donkey, with hooves and a donkey's face that basically prowls around the bridge to attack passersby. And so the story is different depending some, but the general idea is there was a woman who lived uh like with a farmer and her children, and a fire was set. Some say by the farmer, some say by a donkey escaping, um, and like causing a fire by upending a candle or something. But the basically they all agree that this woman was burned and disfigured. Oh, we should probably I probably should have said there is a if you don't like um things happening triggers for
If you're triggered by burns.
by burns or other things like that. Um, but I say that it basically burned her in a way that her hands turned into dumps like a
Oh.
hoof, like hooves, and her face. Um, I don't know the science behind this, but that it was burned in such a way that she resembled a donkey with the elongated face of a donkey, and um, yeah, I think it's just like we'll try to give I'll try to give trigger warnings whenever.
I
Um,
think this is
but
Zombie said
yes,
it in chat.
there are different.
It's
It'll
just
dip in and out. It'll dip in and out for sure. But there's a lot of different accounts of people. Some just driving through the area, some going there to see if they can spot the donkey lady. Of hearing like the haws of a donkey nearby, or of the donkey lady running out of the woods to attack some of her on the road, or sometimes there'll be people stop or crash into a donkey that's on there, and then when they go inspect, um, they it turns on them and attacks. So
oof.
a lot of different stories, but everyone agrees she's not friendly, except for one account by this one
I'm so
particular
sorry to
woman.
pause
Yeah,
you.
go ahead. Yeah,
Um,
go ahead.
is it okay if we take a wee potty break? Because I had a
Yeah.
lot of coffee.
Yeah, let's go ahead.
Oh my, and then
I'll
we're
be
gonna
well.
talk about the
Yeah,
nice,
we'll talk about a nicer, a fun, like one of those fun things.
okay. I'm gonna put it on this just chatting screen. Um, so people can look at the little murder board. I will be right back. I'm so sorry. I was
Yeah.
just doing a dance. So
Okay, you don't have to wait that long. You let me like I'm down to stop whenever we
Well, no,
need
I
to.
wanted to get to like a wee potty break. Exactly.
A wee break. Yeah,
All right, I will
exactly.
be right back.
Okay.
Whew, and we're back. Hey, sorry about that.
Hope you made it.
I did, of course. Um, whew, that was a wee break. Because it was a wee break. I'm so
Exactly.
funny. Oh, so yes, the the donkey lady.
Yeah. There's a nice story about her where one person said they just saw a lady with the same features but just and she just waved at him and had a chat saying that people called her the donkey lady, and this was like it was like a just a heart to heart. Where the guy was like, "Oh, who are you?" And she showed him like some sort of box that she kept and everything. And they just had a nice chat before eventually they just went on their ways, and she's like, "Goodbye."
What's in the box?
Um Let me see if I can find it. I don't remember this. I don't remember what exactly. Hold on.
My brain exists in memes, so I memes and gifs. So I immediately thought of the movie Seven. What's in the box? Uh, no, I mean
I'll see if I can find it. But yeah,
that's
it's
really
just like
that's
it's
nice.
pretty. Oh, what's it called? Wholesome compared to all the other mentions of attacks and things.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. If I am a vengeful spirit, like we're gonna suspend our disbelief for the example, I'm a vengeful spirit.
Mhm.
Okay. If somebody shows up and they're like, I'm gonna see the donkey lady, which full disclosure, she got a name. I'm sure she has a name. Or like
It's
you don't have to
Amanda.
just like label her a rude name. Just be like, hey, ghost lady, something is way better than that. Cause like especially if she's sensitive about it. Somebody came up and
Mhm.
said some rude stuff to me. Was like, show yourself, ghost. Absolutely, I'm gonna body them as a ghost. I'm totally going for them. But if some dude's
Mhm.
just like chilling, he's like, oh, hey, what's up, nice lady? what's up with you? I'm gonna be like, hey, cool. Do you want to see my shiny rocks?
Mhm.
I keep them in this box.
Oh. Oh, I can read the account. It's really funny.
Yes.
It doesn't have a box, but it does have a photo album. And they said, I met the lady people referred to as the donkey lady. She was a recluse and she may have been a nut, though she was very lucid when I spoke to her. But she told me she was the donkey lady, so make up your own mind if she really was. I was riding my horse and came across a beautiful Appaloosa colt tied up. A woman came out of the bushes when I was petting the colt. She said she'd seen me riding around. She was very old. This must have been around 1980-ish, and took me to her house, which was made up of garbage bags and plywood. She told me that her real house had burned down, her husband had died, and she had nowhere to go. She had donkeys, horses, skunks, and several other animals. We sat and talked, and she brought out an old photo album of herself and her husband. They had ridden horses for years and ran a dude ranch many years before. We spent several hours together. She was very kind. I went back and bought her some muffins, as she liked sweets, and we talked again. Went back once more and she was gone. I like to get the story on the woman who called herself the Donkey Lady. She seemed to have lived a great life with a sad end. And that's it. That's the whole. It's so
See,
casual.
this guy, see, he approached it right. He's like, oh, you like
Yeah,
muffins? Like,
yeah.
kindness.
Like, look at this lady. Let's just chill with her and ask her what she's about.
That's literally what happened. He was like, I'm just gonna find out what you're about.
It's so funny though. Just like this guy just said it like, "Oh, I've never heard of the donkey lady before," and this lady said she is the donkey. Let's see what she's talking about. It's like those I don't know, like Scooby Doo or whatever, a character that hasn't heard about whatever horrible monster is patrolling the area.
Yeah.
And they're just like, "Who are you?" And they're like, "What? You're not scared of me?" And then it's wholesome.
It's like, I have no
They become friends.
context, my guy. Oh man, I like that. Yeah, the version I heard was like very, very scary. Um,
Mhm.
where like there was someone offended someone. It was a whole thing where I think it was like her husband offended someone and a person showed up on their farm in retribution and like lit their farmhouse on fire. Like that was what
Mhm.
caused the house fire. Was like this dude was like, "You insulted me. I'm gonna burn
Mhm.
your house down." And then she transformed into an amalgamation of like burned donkey lady,
Mhm.
and they didn't really go into details about like post transformation other than like she was about that life. She was about that smoke, and she would just come for you if you were in the area. Like if you were, she'd pop out at you, and, ha, and then
Mhm.
get you. But
Yeah.
I, yet with all these stories, it's so easy to just be like, that's spooky and terrible, and like, wow, and then make snap judgments about the spirits or whatever, or the people that are. But at the end of the day, like whether the story is 100% true or not, at some point the person, the main person it's about was a person. It's so easy to
Mhm.
like forget that. And that's my shtick on that.
Yeah. Um,
um, um, I
there's a this one. So I'm sure you guys have like heard of Jesse James. One of the most infamous outlaws of all time.
yes,
Um, and so there's this big thing about like um whether he faked his own death or not. That went around for a long time. And people were saying that they were the grandchildren of Jesse James, or whatever, and being like, oh, look, We have proof. We have photos of it, or DNA evidence, or he's not buried here. He's actually buried here. And it got so bad that at his grave site, um, there's like a time, or there's like the birth to death thing, and it says supposedly died on the death thing, on like the death date. Um, because they were
Sup-
so, like, uncertain because there were so many rumors going around on whether he actually died or not. Um, and the long story short, they did tons of DNA tests, and they're pretty sure the original date of his death is the correct one, and that he did not somehow fake it and then move somewhere else. But it was ridiculous like how concerned they got because of all these rumors. There were just so many and so many people saying them that they were like, maybe we did get the wrong guy. Maybe we got the wrong body. Um, who knows? It like they even dug up the body to test it for DNA. And this is like decades afterwards. But
That's
um but you can actually go visit like one of his hideouts. Um it's actually like I think it's less than an hour away from where I live. But you can like go drive to the last hideout he was in before he was captured. So it's like the night that he was captured, he was there. And it's pretty cool. It's like this little cave in the ground that you can visit. But I haven't been since I was really little. But I think I was like 7 or 8. And but when I did, um, basically my my we were told a little bit about it, and we were like, okay, this is really cool, like getting to see the outlaw cave and stuff. And on the drive home, my younger sister was very confused about the whole situation and got the story of Jesse James confused with the story of Jesus.
oh no.
And she was like, it was so funny because my older sister was um I think my older sister was like she was around 10 or so. And she my younger sister was basically talking about, like, she was in that really like talkative toddler stage where they'd say anything that they've learned. And she was like repeating over and over, like, oh, Jesse James, he died and rose again 3 days later.
Wait, what?
It was so funny. But it started like my older sister's like, no, that's the wrong story, blah blah blah. And then but she kept doing it, and it like and made my older sister paranoid. And she was getting really freaked out. She was like, Mom,
That's
make her stop saying that, because
that's
she
really
was sounding it
legitimate.
out like
That's
a priest or something, going like, it's really just freaking out my older sister.
no,
It
that's
was the whole
legit
car
because
ride.
little kids say creepy shit. Like all like
Oh, Jesse
like no
James, he
context, just
died.
like creepy
Like,
things.
oh my gosh, it was so funny. And my parents were just laughing while my older sister was freaking out, and it was so funny. Um,
Jesse James off in the distance, being like, "All right, you recognize me."
he knew,
He
yeah,
knew it.
someone knows.
He sees you when you're sleeping. He knows
Oh
when you're
my,
awake.
Jesse James is also Santa,
He's
yeah.
also Santa. It's headcanon.
Jesse James is, yeah. If you look, Jesse James is the same person as many different well-known historic figures. If you look for the clues, they're there.
Yeah, don't let the don't let I was about to say big pharma, but that's wrong. Don't let the publishing don't let the History Channel fool you. He was also an alien. No. Oh, no. It's wild. Cuz a lot of people I know that a lot of people kind of, in the retelling of his story, a lot of people will almost relate to his whole situation and be like, yeah, um, he was a rebel. He was, one like the social bandit thing. Um,
Yeah, the Robin Hood of the West.
oh God, he added that as a quote. Thank you.
A History Channel, okay, they say History Channel, and then they also put, like, oh, yeah, like, they put stuff that we totally have no idea what if it happened or not, or, like, we think is not real, like, they'll be like, "Oh, yes, let's do this let's talk about how the aliens helped build the pyramids." Like, and it's like, "Okay, yeah, we know the story." It's
It's
not history, um, it's conspiracy channel.
it is it's for sure. And like when they're like, how did there's no way they could have cut this stone to this degree without a machine, and it's like
Haven't you
actually
seen the
like
videos
there's a
of
lot of like there's a lot we don't
yeah,
know about ancient cultures, and I can tell you right now, like the thing like this thing's a master craftsman, like a master masonry worker or a master painter, the things that they can do
yeah.
without like crazy formal training is
Well,
insane. It's crazy. Like they're like such good quality. So if you think back when tools weren't super amazing, like yeah, you had to do stuff to compensate. We don't know. Think about Roman roads. The
yeah.
roads that Romans built. Like there's the recipe for Roman concrete essentially is I guess lost to time or whatever, like how Greek
Mhm.
fire allegedly is lost to time. That's a whole other spiel for another time. But like that's an example of like, yeah, this is back in the past when everybody just assumes that people were idiots for some reason because they don't have modern technology.
In
But
advanced.
like in advance, but it's like there
They
was
get
still a
other
degree.
workarounds.
Yeah, like there
Yeah.
was a degree of intelligence. And obviously, like
Well, when people say like, "Oh my, there's no way they could have built something," I just like those videos of the guy that like
makes the
he's like an
pools.
Indian guy, yeah, who makes like all
Yes,
these
I
crazy
freaking
pools and like
love those
houses out of
videos. Love
dirt
them.
and stuff. I'm like, that guy's a master. There's definitely a way they could have built that
Yeah, he
stuff
like goes out literally
because
into like
he built
the
it out of
jungle
nothing.
somewhere and he's got a
Yeah,
stick and that's all he's
yeah.
got.
He does it out of nothing,
And he
and
makes the
like there's
beautiful
dirt and branches and stuff.
and
I'm
then
like, yeah,
he uses a stick to funnel out bamboo to like
uh
like
huh,
irrigate water
yeah,
into the pool. Like it's wild.
yeah.
So if
Egyptians
he could do
definitely could have built
that,
something cool with that.
if he could do that, I'm
Yeah.
sure the
Where's
aliens
the
didn't
theory
have to
that
help.
Where's the theory that this guy actually was back in the Egyptian times and he
He's
led the
actually
project?
one of those
He's,
immortals. And in the last
yeah,
couple of episodes I've touched on this.
yeah,
He full disclosure, he actually designed the pyramids.
yeah. Put that on your history channel.
Yeah. Where is that 6-part miniseries? I watched a documentary where they think they solved the Roman concrete formula. The key was using
Huh.
seawater instead of fresh water in the mix.
Interesting.
You know
That
what?
is interesting.
They should have Mythbusters test. Mythbusters is still a thing?
Yeah, not anymore, I don't think. Mythbusters was lit.
Right?
It was
It made
awesome.
science fun.
Yeah.
So did Bill
Science
Nye. I just
rules.
science should be fun. Learning is fun. I like to learn. Like I'm that guy
Yeah,
who's like, yeah.
I like to learn on my own time. I like I will take whatever I learn that I find interesting, like in classes and stuff, but I like to do it on my own time as well.
No, that was for sure me. Like people in I had this one class in high school, earth science, and it was a rule that we had to journal in the class as we were learning stuff. And I remember people hated doing that. They're like, I hate journaling for earth science. I was the one who was like, I filled this notebook next. Like, and
Hey,
I'd do little doodles on the side. that like were really poor doodles because I can't draw, but like
What?
but like it was like they made sense to me, and he would look at my journals and he'd be like, all he's like, this isn't like a weird shorthand, and also like, what? This is not what we covered in class. I'm like, no, afterwards I was thinking about it, and da da da. And he's like, yeah, you're nuts. I'm like, yep, that's fair. That's a fair assessment. Um, two main guys argued too much. The others did their own stuff offshoot series, but then they end. Oh, Mythbusters, and then Grant. Oh yeah, that's right.
I
Grant
didn't know he
Imahara.
died. He was brilliant.
He was. And super nice. Like everything I've ever heard
Yeah,
about him was like you didn't hear a
he was
bad thing about him. He
awesome.
was just like a super fun guy. Someone looked at the
Yeah.
location and they thought, why wouldn't they use seawater? Because it was more readily available. So they tried it and had great success in getting it to set up.
Mhm.
Only the test of time will let us know for sure, though. No, you can stress test that. You make a brick and you just
Keep bricking.
keep bricking.
Yeah.
Anyone who's ever played code names with me before knows that if brick's on the board, I'm going to try to convince everyone, my side, their side, everyone, that brick is the option for whatever the clue is.
Why?
I don't know, because brick makes sense. I love brick. Just a massive troll. Oh man, we've gone down a rabbit hole for sure.
Rabbit holes
um,
are fun.
and they are. I always enjoy it. This is like this is how a conversation would be if we were chilling and you were like, "Wow, Bunny, you should stop drinking that much coffee." You know what?
Yeah.
I will hydrate. I will hydrate
Mhm.
because I know you're judging me. Like I can hear it. You're
I'm
like,
not. Why would I be judging?
like, just please, somebody's judging me, and that's fine. I'm gonna drink water. It's happening. You were here first. I actually made a hydrate channel point redemption, so I was like, I don't have one of these, and I probably should.
Hydration.
Yeah,
Um.
for 69.
Well, I
Because I'm
see.
funny. Because I'm funny. Okay,
Um.
water. Very good.
So, this isn't. Do you like analog horror at all?
Analog horror. Can you define that
So,
for me?
analog horror is basically um it's a horror genre where the medium is basically like found footage or
Yes.
yes, basically that's what it is.
Yes.
Um there's a really good one um called Monument Mythos. It's a series of videos on YouTube where basically the idea is that different monuments around America um, have these strange behaviors or histories behind it. And of course, it's like the stuff is it's like alternate um to our world or whatever, but it's like just the right mixture of unsettling and intriguing of like it's not really jump scares or anything, but it's like a sense of like goosebumps where you're like what is going on because there's all these like unexplainable things about like Mount Rushmore, about
I
like oh it's like oh I'm like actually getting chills thinking about it because it's really good.
I haven't
um
seen it. I'm getting chills. I am excited.
it's like it's the good kind of chills where it's like to give you a rundown of one in particular, Mount Rushmore. Um, it's set from a perspective of like somebody videotaping the faces multiple days for like a week,
Oh, to do like a
and
time lapse.
not a time lapse, but like it's like a set of videos, one day, one video. Um,
Okay.
and he's like, okay, look at this they looked pretty normal, and then they came back the next day, and they're like, okay, it's still pretty normal, and they hear a weird sound in the distance. Then the next day, there's these weird plant like tendril things. Not sure what they are, but there's like growing on the statues. And the next day, they're larger. Um, then the day after that, they're everywhere, like absolutely covering it. And the thing is, on what like it's one of those. This series is one of those where it does really good subtle things in the videos. And on the very last day, basically, the person, um, like, I'm pretty sure it's that they look at it and then they decide to turn it off pretty quickly afterwards, and then it basically the video ends. Like, like they're leaving. They're not sticking around for that.
They're like, all right,
But
bye.
on one of the days, in particular, it's like it's like just enough that you think your mind's playing tricks on you, but on one of the days in particular, the statues look like they're looking at the person caught with the video. Where on the previous days they weren't. They were looking in like their normal directions. But it's like you can't tell if it's yourself if you're just imagining it or not,
Oh,
but
it's
they
kind of
look
like
like
when
they're
you're.
looking at you. And it's so unnerving. Cause like they don't do anything. But the fact that they look like they're staring at you, at the cameraman, and he doesn't say anything, like he doesn't notice. And it's so unsettling. But it's like it's a really good series, and I highly recommend it. It talks about the Statue of Liberty,
I'm gonna do
the Grand
this.
Canyon, um, Lincoln or the Honest Abe statue. It's very good, and there technically is a story, or the Washington Monument as well, and there is a like an overarching story for it, but I won't spoil it. It's very good. It's unfinished as well, as far as I know.
I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna. You just. You just
I
gave
basically
me
it's
content to look
yeah.
through. I'm so excited.
It's
No,
like it's short enough that you can watch it in like a night, but but it keeps you thinking about
I have it pulled up so that way, like after this, I'm
it.
probably gonna just be like,
Yeah.
ah. I
Yeah.
pull up tabs as stuff comes up so I can read it later. Like if we touch on something that's cool, I have like 15 tabs open.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna look at all this. I'm gonna learn everything. It's gonna happen, and I'm very excited for it. I'm here for
Yeah.
it.
But I love analog horror. It's like my favorite um genre of it. So all those like the back rooms are really popular right now and everything.
The
I love
back
that.
room. I haven't really delved into it. Um,
So it's been the back rooms have been around for a while, circulating. I didn't pay much attention to it because I don't browse like creepy parts of the internet very much. On occasion, I'll do it, and it's fun. I have to get in a mood for it. But the backrooms have been around for a while, and the concept is that you can essentially no clip through reality, where like falling through reality into this other dimension.
like a pocket
Um,
dimension.
yes, except that it's infinite and it's office rooms or like an office empty office space of infinite like length with all these corridors and weird like room layouts. And
So like a pocket dimension with like some MC Escher kind of shit going on. All right, you
but
have me. I'm intrigued.
but basically uh the it draws on the feeling of like isolation and like unsettling um kind of it's like the unsettling feeling of something familiar feeling so alien. So the emptiness of the space and like the yellow wallpaper along with a carpet that feels like wet, and
Ew.
there being no life anywhere, the barren bulbs or just the fluorescent lighting is just with all the empty space. So it all like combines together to give this very like unsettled like something is off. It's off. It's not, you can't put your finger on what it is, but something is wrong with the area. And so that's been around for, I want to say, 5 to 10 years, the backrooms like idea in general. And it was all these different people making up whatever. It's kind of like SCP. People were saying their own stuff about the backrooms. But recently, this one guy, I think his name's Kane something.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, he made a video, and it like blew up, and he's making a whole series of his own interpretation of the backrooms. And that's another one to check out. It's being updated really frequently, much more frequently than any other analog horror I've ever seen, like of any series. There's so many different series, but
The whole
those
crowds,
two are very like widespread. I think those are can be enjoyed by a large audience.
the whole crowdsourcing of scary, like creepy stuff. I love that.
Hmm.
You know me, I love a good collab. Um, have you ever heard? I don't know if it was strictly just on Twitter or like if it's now branched out other places, but there was an account, The Sun Is Gone, and
Hmm.
it was just this person one day just started messaging out like, "Where'd the sun go?" And he was like live, or they, I'm assuming their gender, that's awful of me, I'm sorry. They were basically live tweeting or like live sharing like written like, "Hey, this is what I'm experiencing. The water's weird, the sun is gone." And then it was like churning. I'm not going to spoil it cuz I never actually I stopped following it. It was a few years ago. Um but what is it? Hold on. Now I'm confused. Now I need to know. Hold on. It was the sun vanished. The sun is gone. Um I remember seeing something of that. Yeah. House empty, strange noises. Yeah, and there was like this whole like the sun, where'd the sun go? Maybe that's what it was.
Hmm.
It was, yeah, it was super good. It was like little notes and stuff, and every once in a while they would send like a little clip of a video that was like shaky cam, cell phone, and they'd be like, "I'm finding other people. I'm supposed to meet up with someone so we can stay safe," and then like something would happen. It was on
Ah,
YouTube. It's also on TikTok. Okay, thank you, chat. Hey,
wow.
what is it
That's cool. It was like, was it like a large scale, um, what's it called? Like just people making their own like
It
things
started
to
out
add
with
to it?
one go, one person. Um, that's a foreigner song.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's cool. I've never heard of that one. I need to look that up. That's, what's
Yes,
it called? The Sun's Gone?
I think it's the sun is. Hey, babe. So since you're on
The
TikTok,
sun vanished. It's the
the
sun
sun
vanished.
vanished? Okay. I used
Huh.
to follow. Hold on. I used to follow it on Twitter.
I
Do I
think it's
still
what it's
follow?
called.
Do I still follow her? Because I feel like it's on the Twitter.
Oh my, oh dear, okay. What? Oh, this is cool. Okay, that reminds me of another one called I like I do a lot of YouTube analog horror, and there's a good series um that is it started 4 years ago, Um, and it's called Local 58 TV.
Yes.
That one's a really good one. Um, so that one's just it does such a good job of being just unsettling enough where it's like there's like something sinister behind Local 58's broadcast is what you can gain or gather.
Yeah.
Did you ever are they the
I
last
think
thing they uploaded was 5 months ago, but it's a very
I think it was I had watched up I pretty I think I'm hold on. I'm gonna pull up my YouTube account. This is
so
this has become like us like I just sort of creepy.
so to give you a very without like going into the theories, it has a lot of symbolism or it has a lot of focus on the moon. Um so basically there's like on the broadcast there's like um it talks about or it shows like images of the moon and then it has words like oh he is watching or like things like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, what is going on? It doesn't explain much. Although there are really good theories about it, and I won't say what they are because it's more fun to find out. But like, um, it does a really good job of like making something so benign, like or something like the moon. It's harmless, but they make it so creepy for no reason, and it's really
Listen.
good.
Listen. The
Yeah,
same moon that
sounds
you look
very
at,
yeah.
the same moon that William Shakespeare looked at, the same moon that Cleopatra looked at, the same moon that Henry VIII looked at. All these people are dead. The moon is killing people. Get woke.
You're right. Oh my goodness. Wait, and I could be next.
It could
Oh
be
no.
anyone.
It could be
The moon is,
anyone.
quote, harmless.
Yeah.
100% of people who drink water die. God.
True. Oxygen is poisonous.
It
That's
is.
actually a
Oxygen is
fact.
poisonous. People,
It's
yeah.
oxygen has killed the most things on the planet.
I mean, oxygenation is, that's literally what, okay,
And it's a
so
mass extinction.
it's like, it's like slowly, it's like a slow, oxygen is slowly burning you alive, but like very, very slowly. And that's why antioxidants, things with antioxidants, keep you healthier longer. Um, actually just found a meme about that earlier, like randomly while I was doom scrolling, while also speed reading, while also listening to just some music, because I multitask. But the
Mhm.
same moon that Cthulhu was looking at. Cthulhu,
Mhm.
what a cutie. I still have to do my
Oh.
Dagon playthrough. Eventually, I'll do it.
I don't know much about what's it the what are they called?
Lovecraftian horror.
Lovecraft. Yeah, that's something I wish I want to I want to get to know more cuz
H.P.
I think it's really
Lovecraft,
interesting.
excellent writer. As a person, kind of a cunt.
No.
All
Really,
of a cunt.
yeah.
Yeah, he's awful. Um,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, really really bad.
but the story, the world building, the mythos behind all of uh the different creatures and scary like entities and like the alien stuff. There's like some really solid work there. Like as a writer, I can recognize like that's dope. Um and I'm able to mentally separate a writer's works from who
From
they are as a
there,
person,
I agree.
because we shouldn't blame the book for the one holding the pen.
Yeah.
Except for George R. R. Martin. Where is Winds of Winter? It is well past 2011. I am still waiting. He's like, you know
um,
what I'm gonna release? And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna release Fire and Blood 1 and 2, and I'm gonna work with HBO. And I'm like, I am literally going to force choke you, my guy. Please, please just publish it. He's like, I'm gonna
well, remind
tease
me not to
out
get on your bad side if you can force choke.
balance, as in all things. No,
Oh, there's there's two more
yeah.
series that I can recommend. There's one called that's really popular right now called Mandela County or the Mandela Catalog, and um, basically it it's one of it like it has some jump scares, yeah, but like it is actually one that like is really hard to watch by yourself at night. Um, because it's about the idea that in whatever version of the world that this takes place, there is something really common taking place um, involving alternates and
Oh,
them trying to, or and basically the effects that other versions of ourselves would have on our like psyche. So, um, basically, it like there's so many different like aspects of this, even though it all focuses on one thing. Um, and the very first video is really creepy because it's basically of a video. It's a videotape of a Bible story of um, the Garden of Eden,
okay.
and it just throws you right in, just like, okay, here's a child's Bible tape of something, and then
Like the
right off the bat,
1990s, like big fluffy
yeah,
cartoons.
like the
Okay.
card, yeah, and right off the bat, it really just you can tell something's not right with the tape, and I won't spoil it. It's really good, um, and then a lot of most of the other stuff is involving uh, a mixture of like investigative reports on tape and then like other people's videos or voice recordings of them encountering these alternates. And alternates can either look exactly like the individual or they can be some sort of humanoid that is fit like is somehow impossible in some nature or other, whether they are upside down or they have an abnormally large head or extremely long arms, like, or they might be, um, or it talks about there being a third one, but they don't say what it is except that it's really bad, and it's like
It's like you can't
it's
tell me it's really bad and then not tell me what
like
it
they
is.
don't want to talk about it. But the thing is, a lot of it borders on like it's so unnerving because it's about like because you basically get to hear these things talk and stuff, and the way they talk is like a mixture of manipulation and fear or trying to get on your good side so they can get you. It's super good, but like um and uh and the thing is, there's all these messages about don't if you think you're talking to an alternate, don't or like don't let them or like and like if somebody is called like there's a part where it's a message only for the eyes of those that work in like the 911 department of these counties
Okay.
that basically says it's like instructions for if you get phone call, and it's like, oh, get a phone call, blah blah blah, okay, ask them where they are and what's going on. And this is in the case of a report on an alternate. and then it says if the person is panicking, calm them down, assure them that everything's going to be okay. And then if they start asking for help, it's like assure them that help is on the way, and then hang up.
And then
And then
what?
no, we'll say they'll be like help will be on the way. We'll be with you in a moment, and hang up. And then don't do anything
Don't.
because nothing is worth the risk of the alternates getting to know what your fears are. And it's like,
Oh.
it's so interesting the idea that like it's so bad. It's normal enough that it's a really common thing for people to know about and everything, but it's such a bad situation that they won't even help. It is It's so unnerving. And there's other factors at play as well besides just these alternates, but I won't spoil.
I will.
Definitely check that out. It's so good and it's still being made, so there's more to come. So yeah. But um and the last one is called Gemini Home Entertainment, which is a bunch of seemingly unrelated videos of really weird like um like mostly like alien like
Okay.
creatures or activity. Um it's hard to explain what it's really about. Uh so I'll give you an example of one of them. It gives it in the idea of like this cute like, oh, it's one of these like check out this underwater blah blah blah. You know, like one of those old scientific
Infomercials.
oh, it's those tiny scientific like videos that you might have. Kind of like National Geographic.
I love National
Kind of
Geographic.
like it feels kind of like that. But and they'll be like, "Oh, um there's this like wooded area with a camp there that people love to go to that you should go to." And then like slowly over time, they start putting in like these parts where there's no music, like happy music, and it's just like if somebody knocks, don't answer it. Or like and then
Okay,
and
I need
then
to watch this.
it would go back to like, oh, and there's different activities such as hiking or kayaking or hunting, and then it like goes quiet and it's like hunting. What kind of hunting? Or just it's like little things and it's very very good. But and like the kicker is that it shows all these different people's faces at one point in the video saying like, "Oh, this person, they opened the door." And then it like has like their last scene photo or something. This person looked through the people and opened the door. And it's like different things. Like of course it says different things. And then it shows a picture of a door and nothing happens. And then it goes to a different part of the video and it comes back and you see the door again. It looks like it's like from the perspective that you're inside of a cabin looking at the door. And then you hear a knock. And the knock is so realistic that I like almost jumped out of my chair because I thought it was coming from my door. I was like, no, not for me. But it's very unsettling and it's like all these different videos. All of them are about different things, but that one's really good too.
I
So that one's called Gemini Home Entertainment.
I'm gonna need Zombified Potato to compile a list of these. Also,
Honestly, if you ever want to have a watch party,
yes,
I'm down. They're all on
yes,
YouTube. They're all fantastic.
yes.
It's like just the right of unexplainable with enough stuff where they don't explain things, but there's enough stuff that you can theorize um about it. And yeah, it's really good.
We could do one on Discord. We could do one on Discord. I think
That
we
would be
will.
fun.
I think we will. I will have to
Yeah,
set that up as a fun little exciting thing to do. And that's gonna be
yeah.
a thing that we do. Absolutely.
I did one a while back once for this one series called The Walton Files, but I think that's more of a targeted audience.
Wh-
It's very similar to FNAF, but I think it's a lot more interesting.
What is that?
It's like animatronics based.
Oh,
It gives you so many hints of things. There's only a few episodes out, but they're long. And it's a similar concept of a thing getting shut down really quickly. Like of yeah, it's like Five Nights at Freddy's, yeah. It's like there was this new place that was going to open and then it was only open for like a few days before it closed. And doesn't tell you why, but then it jumps in. It's a lot of found footage as well. Um, it jumps into like, okay, uh, there's these characters that are going to the facility to check on the animatronics to make sure they're all like fitted and stuff like that. And you learn, oh, it's got some jump scares and stuff. Like jump scares are a big part of it, but for some reason they're a lot better done, I think, than normal. But uh it's all like animated in a way that makes it look somewhat real and also cartoony. And there's a consistent like story between it all that you can put it together yourself with all the clues and things. And that one I think is a bit more of a targeted audience, but it's a good one.
I'm excited. I'm gonna go through all. I am gonna have to. We're gonna have to set that up in the Discord. I don't know which Discord it's gonna happen. I'm putting it on my list of stuff to organize. Me
Well, I
and
look
my
forward
lists.
to it. And yeah, I don't know all the stuff out there that's really good. Those are the ones that I'm aware of, but they're definitely ones to watch.
I will. Yes, I'm so excited. So we've talked about a lot of spooky stuff. We've talked about a lot of spooky stuff. We started out with a lot of Texas stuff. We kind of bridged a lot of gaps. Went into the
Yeah,
found footage genre, which I'm so excited to reach that further. Who knows?
yeah.
Maybe it'll be a topic for a later date, to kind of delve
Mhm.
into the psychology of it, why they're so scary and unsettling. Um,
Yeah, there's a lot of really clever tactics they use, and then a lot of not so clever tactics they use in horror things. But that's just that's for another time, I think.
for sure. I mean, hey, I do this every Saturday, so I mean, obviously, you are
A
always
lot of
welcome. I'm always down for this. I do want to kind of switch gears a little bit and talk a
Mhm.
little bit about you. So, what sort of stuff? I know you're kind of getting back into the scheduling thing because life. What sort of things are you thinking about doing in the like? What sort of upcoming projects do you think people should keep an eye out for?
Oh, well, one thing that I'll probably be doing is more rhythm games because that is something I always enjoy. Um, but I I also think that I might start wanting to play more like multiplayer games on stream. So like with a group, because like I know we have like kind of like similar to the Murderous Mondays thing, but
Yeah, that project. Eventually. Listen, next week I'll start putting up availability schedule. That's really I'm
yeah,
That project's really so much to not just for me, but sort of to help facilitate groups because I don't know if
Yeah.
you probably have the same issue I do where you want to play like big multiplayer games where it's
But
like
you
you
don't know how
need
to
like
set it
6
up.
or 8
Yeah.
or whatever, and then it's so hard to try to schedule with your friends who have it, and you
Right.
end up with like not enough people to play or like
Yeah.
in order to play you have to deal with public people. And I mean, people in public aren't innately bad, but like there's always the risk that
Yeah.
someone will be not fun and just kind of be mean. Like we got accidentally thrown into a public lobby doing some dread hungies once. I honestly, I'm deaf in one ear and I was not within earshot of when that person came in and started like screaming. And then everybody was
Yeah.
like, "Bunny, Bunny, come to this other lobby. We're escaping." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." Like
It's too unpredictable.
it is.
Um, like, I was playing Midnight Ghost Hunt recently, and you find a lot of people on there that are really, like, unsavory types,
Is that out? Is
because
that
of
out
what they
now?
it's still in early access, but you can get it. It's very good. I highly recommend it, and I'd love to play with some people.
I may
But,
try it.
uh, but so, like, you find a lot. I mean, of course, you'll find people that use slurs and all these or make, like, very unsavory jokes about certain things. Um, and so it can be hard, but, like, other times, like, I found this one group where everybody in the game was super chill, and, um and it was fun to talk with them and hang out and stuff, and I totally would play with them again. So it's too unpredictable to find people like that.
Yeah, like I
I
can
don't know
remember
the reason,
doing public
but
lobbies of Among Us and people would just be like, "Oh my god, Bunny Bear, I must protect you." And it's and I'm like, "Cool, but also I'm the murderer, so this is awkward."
well, so I grew up playing games with a bunch of strangers, and at some point, I really just I stopped enjoying it, and but you can still find those, but, like, that's just because, like, I think a part of me was tired of, like, wading through to find the right people.
Yeah,
It's like, sometimes it can really be worth it, but you have to be prepared to face a lot of the bad too.
that is definitely that's definitely true. I'm always it's so I'm a very confident person. Um, and I'm almost unapologetic with it, which some people find unnerving, but I always deep down, I always have this thought whenever I'm like going to meet a new group of people to play games with or something. There's like the thought of like, all right, plan your exit strategy. If this goes poorly, ghost. Like,
Mhm.
which is awful, but like you said, like at some point that kind of becomes like a thing that you have to think about just because no one wants to be in a situation with a person who's being mean or like toxic or like just bad, bad. They say bad
Yeah.
words, mean bad things.
No, I think, like, in person, I'm a very confident person, but, like,
The
over
internet.
the internet,
The internet.
um, yeah, I just, like, I'm like, I don't even know if I wanna start talking to somebody because it's just, like, the possibility. Because, like, in person, people are gonna be a lot more.
Yeah, because they can see
In real
you.
life Yeah, in real life, people are gonna behave very differently than over anonymity. Um,
That's
and,
true.
so I'm like, "Do I wanna test this? Do I wanna try it out? Probably not." And so but that's why we have Discords and friends that we make and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
that's how
So,
we
yeah.
became friends,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
beautiful, and it's worked out amazing. And
Mhm.
I thoroughly enjoy your company. We always have a good time, even if
Yeah.
I still haven't worked on that puzzle. I set it
I
down and then
haven't either.
I
I
was like, "This
haven't
is so interesting," and then
I have it pulled up. It's still in my, like I still have it pulled up and I haven't touched it.
Yeah, I
I
have it on
want
my I have it I have a copy on my phone and on my computer where I was like trying to like multitask and try to figure out numbers when we were doing it the other night. The other night, last week,
Yeah.
last year. I don't know. Eventually, we'll get
Whenever.
back to it and we're gonna solve
Yep.
it. And everyone's like, "Wow, Keen and Bunny are super smart." Yes, we are.
Yeah, we're so smart. We're gonna solve it,
We're
and
gonna
it's gonna be
solve
the
it,
most incredible work.
and it's gonna be phenomenal. We're gonna have a great time.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm super excited to see you streaming more. If you guys in the chat, guys, gals, non-binary pals, have not already done so, please, I don't know how to do a shout out. I'm so sorry. Please, zombie, help me.
You gotta speak loudly. No, I'm just
He can
kidding.
hear me.
Yeah. No,
He
it's a shout. Yeah.
oh, thank you. Yeah, please check out Keenan's Twitch. Follow, subscribe. Who knows? Like, do great things. You're gonna have a great time there. I guarantee it. It's guarantee. Bunny seal of approval.
Well, thank you. You don't have to do all those things, but if you do stop by, all the company is appreciated.
Get in the comments. Get in the comments. That's my favorite bit. Oh my goodness. Again, I really appreciate you taking the time and hanging out with me today. And
Yeah,
honestly,
I
I'm
loved
so
it.
excited to go through all of I have so many freaking tabs open. I'm just looking. I'm like,
I'm glad. I'm glad that I've piqued your interest.
I love learning.
I do love that stuff, and it work on the flip side, if you ever have anything, I'll be interested to hear what you know,
Absolutely.
any, like, fun little, whether it's just stories to look into
That puzzle. I'm like, where's
or own
Keenan?
series.
Keenan needs to do this.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm always free, on Saturdays and Mondays, or in the afternoons. Well, more the evenings, but yeah.
Well, I'm gonna gang press you coming back, but also you could do so of your own free volition.
Yeah, just no, I'm game for most things, you know?
Cool.
I'm a huge extrovert, so I just like hanging out with people, so
I love it. I am so excited. Again, thank you so much. Let's wrap up. Again, thank you, chat. I just want to thank everybody for hanging out with us. We all had a really great spooky time. I'm personally gonna sleep like a baby bear tonight. I'm gonna put myself to sleep after watching all of these like analog horror things after Shadow Guild community night.
Get
So
a get a blanket because it's very you'll
I have a
at
cocoon
least in my yeah, because I got very cold watching it with all the chills.
with all of the
All the
chills. That's what
goosebumps.
got you cold.
All the goosebumps and everything made me very cold while watching these.
I'm excited. It's gonna be great. Oh
Mhm.
man. I this is so exciting. Who do you want to
A
rate
lot of
more?
people that we can raid.
I was just thinking that.
A lot of people are on. Um, well, who do you have in mind? Because there's a
I've
couple of people, but I don't think you know them.
I'm looking through because I don't like to raid the same person twice, if that makes sense, like in a row. Like I like to space them out.
No favoritism.
Yeah, it's no favoritism. It's equal opportunity rating.
Mhm.
But before we get to that, I just want to thank everybody again for hanging out. Jake, thank you for resubbing for your 2 month streak. Very dope. Very excited about it. Um, I have a few people. Um, looks like Bree is on. I just rated Bear the other day, so I rated Darius the other day. Um, that person's playing golf. No, not on a Saturday. Any other day, I'd be down for it. Combat Dude is Combat Dude still on?
That's what a zombie said. Wait, I think so.
Oh, he's playing SCP Secret Laboratory.
Oh, that's a fun one we should play because it's free, right?
I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna
I
find
think it
out.
is.
Let me check my stem. Even though we keep the creepy yeah, keep the creepy stuff going. That is
Creepy.
the vibe we're
Okay.
going for. I'm dancing.
Creepy. I don't know. Okay, so playing creepy games. Oh, hey Sean. Um, playing creepy being games, like if it's a single player game, it's an entirely different feel than multiplayer. Because multiplayer creepy games, you get to hear the people's interactions as people get scared, plus also much comic relief. Um, that results as such.
So I just added it to my library. It is free to play, so
Mm.
that's gonna be a thing. There's also a containment breach multiplayer. There's a bunch of there's a bunch of SCP. Oh my goodness, we're gonna have to do a
Yeah,
thing.
SAP is the largest collaborative thing on the internet, like for sure.
Well, we're gonna yeah, because I know the different files and everything. Oh hey Thrall, what's up? Good morning, beautiful. I'm so happy you came by. Say hello. He's got an SCP community. Oh, cool. It's a community. Oh, cool. It's a community night. Yes,
Cool.
absolutely. Well, I hope everybody has a spooky Saturday. Yeah, let's read combat, dude, because that's I love it. Let me learn. I can
All
do it.
right.
I can do it. I can do it. Bam. Yes, I will hydrate Thrall. All right,
Make
guys, gals,
sure.
non-binary pals. Let's show some love for combat, dude. Um, check out. He's a super cool person. I always have fun in his streams, and I hope you do too. Again, thank you so much. I love you all, and I will see you the next time I'm on the internet. Which we absolutely know is at least going to be Saturday. Who knows? I might stream before
Mhm.
that. All right, I'm ready to raid now if you guys are. Yeah, it looks like everybody's ready. Everybody's ready. All right, say goodbye, Keenan.
Bye. Thanks for
Bye.
having me.
Anytime. Love you.